Hello, Pisces. Welcome to Catalyst Energies. Welcome to your weekly astrology forecast. This is a new format, so this is going to be a quick check-in, right? Quick check-in just to show you what's going on, where it's going on in your chart, and maybe just extrapolate just a little bit. So if you haven't checked out the actual full astrology report, that's a great place to start. That's already posted on my platforms on YouTube and BitChute and Odysee, so you can check them out there. They're very easily accessible from wherever you're finding this video, and that goes over all of the these major transits in detail. That way I don't go into it again, because the tendency for me is to start channeling and then it's just stream of consciousness, and then it's an hour later and I'm supposed to be doing a 10-minute check-in. So go and check that out if you want to get all the details about these transits and what they may mean. This here is just to get into the specifics of where in your chart and the areas of your life that'll be impacted by these major aspects. So normally this would be on a Friday. So as it was a gnarly weekend, and you'll know if you go back and listen to that report, and then just catching up here, you'll know that this weekend was gnarly for lots of people in a lot of different ways, some more than others, right? So I had my own challenges and I was not feeling it. So normally this would be Friday through the weekend, but we're going to do it today. We'll go back and look at the weekend, the major transits, and also to where things are headed. Because where it's headed is the full moon on the 18th of December. And then we have a solstice right after that. So this is the second lunar quarter, right? From the first quarter moon squaring the sun up to the full moon, okay, Pisces? So this is Pisces rising, and then Pisces moon, and then Pisces sun, in that order, because it's the rising sign that's going to determine how I read this chart. So Pisces, first we are looking at Friday, December 10th. This was the beginning of our lunar quarter. So second lunar quarter, which was the first quarter moon squaring the sun. So let's back up just a minute, just to remind ourselves here, Pisces, that the solar eclipse that happened on December 4th was in the 10th house, which is your career house. It is the zenith of your destiny. It is your professional life, your public persona, where you get your institutionalized power. It is where you release your power into a mission or a destiny, right? What are you contributing to itself? And for Pisces, you have a 10th house Sagittarius, so really it's meaning that you are contributing to society very much. But this eclipse is in your 10th house. So over the next couple of months, we're going through a purification process. So for you, it's in the realm of your career and the large scale contributions that you are part of. It's not so much your works or your daily routine. That's more of a 6th house thing. This is really, what are you here to do? What is your mission? And if your 10th house cusp happens to be starseed marking, well, then it's pretty clear what you're here to do. So Pisces, we started this lunar quarter with the sun not only in a square to a Pisces moon, it was also in conjunction with Neptune. And then right after that, the sun was in a conjunction with the Neptune. So Neptune is your chart ruler, Pisces. It's the energy that, and I would even go so far as to say Jupiter as well, which actually works in your favor in this situation because of all of this 10th house energy being really the focal point right now, especially now that Mars is in Sagittarius as of today. And when we go forward, you'll see this unfold. So, but this square, ultimately, we're seeing some larger cycles that are impacting you as a person, your what you consider valuable and is yours, your currency, and your objective reality, which is your 2nd house, and how you actually conceptualize that in your mind, the 3rd house. And so that's learning and language and grammar and data and empirical reason and logic, all the 3rd house, and short-term rote repetition. It is really how our nervous system learns. It's how we learn is what's happening in the 3rd house. So you can see that there's a lot going on here that has to do with larger cycles in areas that are very connected to the very essence of who you are, but there's a lot of attention right now getting paid toward what you're doing in the world and the world at large, right? And even the spiritual world, which is where you're finding Saturn and Jupiter right now. This is really going to, these two right now have been really giving you on one hand, a backbone and a scaffolding in the very area that you're most comfortable in, I would say, Pisces, the 12th house, but also a freedom and an expansion, especially once Jupiter moves into Pisces. That's going to be a game changer for Pisces people, considering the fact that Sagittarius is where the eclipse happened, and where all of this energy is situated right now, and even where the South Node is. So it's a lot right now. It seems to be, Pisces. Again, like I said, larger cycles having to do with who you are as a person, and a lot more having conflict with what you are out there doing in the world. And so who you are as a person and what you identify as your worth and how you learn things, and even the 4th house where you belong emotionally, which is going to be where the Gemini full moon happens, is in this house. So it really does, all of this will need to be addressed, because what happens up here is built off of this very foundation. And it starts, this lunar quarter starts with the sun in a square to the moon and Neptune in your 1st house. So you see right there the first representation, not the very first, because Mercury was in a square to Neptune, but this representation of who you are in some sort of tension or conflict with what you are here to do. And you really need to know who you are for sure in order to, and ultimately know where you belong, know where you're rooted, know where your security comes from emotionally, know where your inner life really has you rooted, in order to release that power. And the power is really going to ultimately be released in a way that is purifying. And depending on where your midheaven is, Pisces, like what degree, it may give you more insight into exactly how you are executing this. But I will say that Mars is now here in this 10th house, so there's going to be a lot of initiative behind this career area for you, okay? Mercury moves into the 11th house today, and this is where Venus and Pluto came in their conjunction, the first of 3. So I went into a lot of detail with this on the other report, so I'm not going to go over it, but this is a lot of this very destructive but creation energy brought right into our own sense of value, right? Venus, what we value and who we value, just being met with the full brunt of the Pluto destructive power that precedes creation. Now, Venus in Capricorn has a lot more maturity and wisdom, and she has entered the crone phase in some ways, and so she is able to meet Pluto very gracefully in this situation. So, Pisces, you may have found over the weekend that where you saw this real destruction was in the world around you, the social organism as a whole. So you may have found that there was a whole network that came down somewhere. Maybe it was in your, certainly globally, maybe it was related to an online community that you're part of. Maybe it was in like your actual neighborhood or your city or some other larger social context, but something that affected everyone simultaneously and very dramatically, I would say, in the social order. So with Mercury now in this area and soon to be in a square to Chiron this week as we move forward, there's going to, the realm of the mind will begin to start really focusing on the larger social issues, right? And really trying to come up with solutions, really thinking about the nature of the social organism as a whole. And this will become very valuable when Venus goes retrograde and goes back over Pluto, and a lot of that experience becomes more internalized. And then when she goes direct, she'll come back over it. But in the meantime, Mercury in this area is really for Pisces turning that attention that was on the big picture and certainly the meaning that was being communicated in terms of your contribution is now being turned to, well, what is the actual, what is the nature of the collective that I've been contributing to this whole time. And I think that there's going to be a real reality check here about what that is, Pisces. All the while, there is a real strong sensitivity to who you are as a person, which is, imaginative, compassionate, artistic, empathic, right? Very strong in the healing realm, very mystical, right? Easily accesses through your own identity the realms of the collective unconscious. And with Neptune, that's been here for years, you've been primed to really step into this very powerful and potent identity. With the moon here, you've just become hypersensitive to it in your own identity, right? Because Neptune brings that formlessness right into any house that it presides within. So for you, Pisces, it's really about the humanitarian commitment to the collective at a emotional, compassionate level is inseparable from your own identity. And that became really obvious to you over the weekend when the moon met Neptune and then was in a square to all of this really well-intentioned and mission-oriented expression, but it's no match for Neptune in Pisces. So when Mercury comes into the 11th house, we now, as of today, and eventually comes into a square. So if we go a couple days ahead here. So the weekend was gnarly for all of us. And what we're going to find here is as we come up to the 4th house, Mercury starts to come closer and closer to there we go. Square with Chiron. So Chiron for you, let me move this up. There we go. Chiron, and this is the very day of the full moon, right? So there'll be a couple days between now and the end of the week that the moon transits will be, pretty steady moving through Aries into Taurus and through Gemini. So there'll be opportunities with the moon's transits for Pisces to really be very sensitive to these particular areas. And then when we get to the full moon, the moon is very, very powerful in the 4th house. And so it'll be a very strong, intuitive, and very emotionally oriented realization about what in the area that had that you had relied upon as your emotional security and your inner power. Something has been holding you back, Pisces, or not even holding you back, has been pushing you down and suppressing you in this way that's unbearable and will need to be released. And it's going to come, actually, strangely enough, it'll come from what is being purified out of the realm of your, the society you're contributing to, and more important, what you're actually doing, which is going to have a lot to do with meaning, and belief systems, and instituting them. And so there'll be something here at this full moon for Pisces where you'll see absolutely what has been in place for a really, really long time that we're all still using. And it's going to shine a light in terms of your own personal power, your own root system, your own sense of emotional security. It's going to show you what needs to go and what and how it's going to feel when you release it. This is going to be a very important full moon for all of us. So in the lead up to that, one of the big things that will happen, which is on the very day, is that Mercury in the 11th house will then square Chiron, right? And so these are energies that for you, Pisces, Chiron in your 2nd house is, this imposition of a a feeling of victimhood or needing to save other people, or the wounded healer that tries desperately to assuage their own pain by helping others, right? This has been in the area of your second house, which is in fact the area of worth and value for everybody, the second house. So what is your resources and your currency, and your resources of Pisces can only fully be expressed when it's free, and there is and free to see the full potential of the entire world around you. And when you can't do that because you're pulled more into the martyr role as a Pisces, or pulled into a savior role as Pisces, then you're taking away your attention on your actual currency and power as a Pisces. And I'm talking about genetic currency. I'm talking about your ancestral birthright and your lineage as a empathic and compassionate human. But you have to be free. And Chiron represents the part of us that is not free until we release ourselves from the identity. The identity here is I think where you're going to find is there's going to be some element of the social order as a whole that will need to, that you will feel very compelled in your mind to resonate with. But just remember everything that just happened over the weekend in this same realm for you. Like, you can be able to access it mentally and to just practice really strong discernment and realize how easily we can all be kind of hypnotized and our own strengths used against us. And I'm not suggesting that we shouldn't be we have to make sure that we're resonating with universal resonance and with the highest source, which is easy for Pisces, but also not easy if you're an untrained Pisces, or you are allowing any kind of attachment or walk-in because you truly identify yourself with everything else. And so there really is no difference. So, but there'll be something about the mental capacity to find resonance with either the actual of nature, natural law, and source, or the false holographic matrix that's ultimately being destroyed. So you want to think about, Pisces, what you experienced over the weekend when these two elements came together in their own. They're both like so. There's so much of attraction, and there's a magnetic quality, especially with Venus, but also too with Pluto, that they have a gravity when they come together that can create a toroidal field. And so you want to make sure that in the throes of that your mind is very just taking it very seriously. And the square here will, it depends on what you're going to plug into, right? I mean, either way, when you tune to universal rhythm, when you're attuned to the vibration that is inherent in the fractal geometry of the natural world that we live in, the material world, when you do that, it will naturally square Aries. It'll naturally square our own ego's desire to find that within ourselves naturally. But there'll be something here that's also going to, again, trigger that self-worth and that need to that victimhood or that savior nature. And I think a lot of that is going to have to do with that. You're really going to start, you'll find yourself through your communication, through your words, through your mind, even through the information that you are picking up on, and trying to solve a problem in this larger social context, and really, and trying to use your mental faculties to figure something out, or to be of assistance and to resonate with it. It's just going to then trigger any work that you're doing on staying focused and concentrated on the freedom and the potency of creative freedom within the entire world around you, because you have to realize that this is falling away and there's parts of it being purified. So you have to keep in mind, I would say, you don't have to, I keep saying that, but keep in mind that this is going to bring out some it's going to be very easy to mentally get pulled into trying to solve a problem that is pulling you off of your true creative currency, because what you're trying to solve for is something that is just going to be destroyed anyway, or has already kind of been destroyed as a result of Pluto and especially Pluto already meeting this point years and years and years ago. So maybe too, you'll find yourself kind of connecting back in time in some ways to a different time and resonating with that, and having it bring up some past situations, bringing up some like some need for ancestral healing, like actual DNA healing that needs to be modified. This is an incredible potential for actual DNA healing of trauma for Pisces, but it really will depend on which frequency your mind is tuning into. And since the 11th house is if the social order is destroyed, I think that really does impact Pisces' ability to find any kind of security, because it's the social world in general which I think provides that for a Pisces. So Saturn rules Capricorn, and in Aquarius it's going to be like you have to tune in to your inner channels, to your inner self. You're going to have to tap into inspiration that's coming from something within, because if you try to do it with what is happening in the social order outside of you, you may find yourself getting triggered and pulled back into this trauma loop, Pisces. That's my sense. And then the same day is when we have the full moon in Gemini. So again, it'll be something in the realm of the family as it is now, the emotional family, where you feel like you belong, and where you gather your personal power from, that is really going to show itself within you very brightly, and will show you what you can. And finally, it was like giving us permission to just be like, all right, fine, I'm going to declare emotional bankruptcy and just be done with it. So also some serious root cutting or cutting of cords in the family, or in the traditions or the heritage that you used to identify with. That's going to be, and you don't have to give up everything about what has been and the meaning of everything. In fact, I mean, this is a big way that you contribute to society. But remember, K2 has been here for a while, so it's not the direction we're going. But Pisces can, at the very least, identify themselves with the stuff that has worked and the stuff that has meaning, that is still relevant. And when we identify that, it will show us exactly what's irrelevant now in terms, for Pisces, of where your personal power actually comes from. So, I think Pisces and Virgo are getting it pretty bad. It's a lot of mutable energy because of not only Sagittarius, but also the nodal axis soon shifting out of that space. So it's just really intense right now. So Pisces, I hope that you got some value out of this. Let me know what you think. I will actually link the astrology report here on the outro screen as I end here, and you can just click to that if you want to get a more specific and more in-depth of the astrological transits themselves. So thank you very much, Pisces. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'll see you next week for your weekly forecast. Take care.